And we're live. What's going on, people? First of all, I want to say rest in peace to Cedric Benson. He's an NFL running back, or he was an NFL running back. He passed away in a motor vehicle accident, I believe today. I mostly know Benson from Madden, honestly. And I also remember him when he played for Chicago. And I used the Bears when I used to play Madden. That's really how I remember him, but it's very, very unfortunate. Okay, man, let's get into the topic of today, because there's a lot of stuff going on with social media. And in particular, I'm talking about conversations. There's events playing out, and naturally people have their opinion. That's what social media is for. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be so that people can come together, we can exchange ideas. We can discuss our views, we can trade viewpoints, and we're supposed to be able to at least try to figure out what the other person is thinking and saying and find a way to react to it. Essentially, social media was supposed to bridge the gap for people who couldn't connect with other people across large distances, so you connect on the internet, and it's supposed to be like the same thing. Unfortunately, when dealing with social media, bruh, unfortunately it brings out all the idiots. And not just idiots, man, but it brings out a toxic trait and a very, very disgusting mentality amongst people, bro. Like, you can't even have an actual real conversation on social media. You know what I'm saying? Whenever there's some kind of topic or some type of issue, especially if it's a hot button issue, people cannot agree. And it's not even to the point that they can't agree. Honestly, I personally feel like a lot of people just don't even want to agree, man. You know what I'm saying? People can't even get past their own pig-headedness to really attempt to try to see something from someone else's point of view, and just to try to see all sides of a situation before we start actually deciding who's right, who's wrong, and who actually knows what. That's a lot of the issues we're having with politics right now. That's why the political spectrum is such a shit show, because these politicians, they don't give a fuck, all right? They're talking a whole bunch of fuckery, a whole bunch of bullshit. They're talking about completely erasing debt. They're talking about all type of wild shit, okay? And they're ignoring general processes to get things done because they want to tell people what they want to hear because they got to get the votes. Now, we all understand how the process works. It's partly why I don't fuck with politics, because it's a whole bunch of BS. It's all about a bunch of nothing, a bunch of getting nothing done, and just speaking and double talking until you get people to agree with you. And that's not how you actually deal with things. That's not how you actually come to an actual resolution to actual issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, all it does is just breed more division. These motherfuckers can't get it together, and then they're all over. Oh my God, they are all over Twitter. All of these motherfuckers are all over Twitter, okay? From Tommy Lahren to Trump to Cory Booker to AOC to Kamala Harris to just everybody running, Bernie Sanders, and like, I'm not into it, bro. I'm not into watching these politicians sit there and try to slander and throw dirt on each other rather than actually trying to come to a real resolution. I think it's bullshit, and I think it's very, very unfair to the people. This shit sucks. The presidential race as it is right now, man, the shit, in my opinion, it's a bunch of bullshit, man. Like, you got these people, they go on these debates, these DMCs, and like, they just sit there and they either trying to insult each other or they're trying to insult Trump. And then in between, whenever they can, if they feel like it, they'll squeeze in a policy here and there. They'll squeeze in some wordage to try to get people to rally. But ultimately, bro, from I really want to say 85 to 90% of the people that's trying to run for president, especially on the Democratic side, it's like, fuck Trump or fuck the person standing next to me, because they don't really know what they're talking about. They're either fighting each other or they're fighting Trump. They're not banding together. They're not really coming together. They kind of can't even agree on things themselves. They all kind of have different ways that they want to approach everything. And then they're bashing each other every 5 minutes. So it all turns into just a mudslinging contest. That's literally all that's happening. And what you have is supporters from different people. People who support Booker, they don't necessarily fuck with Harris. People who fuck with Harris, they don't necessarily fuck with Sanders. If you fuck with Sanders, you probably don't fuck with O'Rourke. And that's natural. Like, it's natural for people to gravitate toward the political figure that they feel represents who they are. There's nothing wrong with that. You're supposed to gravitate with people who you identify with, or at least people who are speaking the same type of shit that you feel. But when these people are also doing a bunch of bullshit and all they give a fuck about is votes and constituents and votes and praise, I feel like that's a problem. I honestly feel like that's a problem. I feel like social media has catapulted this super toxic behavior, because now, instead of actually sitting in a room and deliberating issues, they're on social media bashing each other. And it's the same thing with Donald Trump. Instead of him sitting there with his cabinet and his party to try to actually figure out what's going on with these issues, he's on Twitter. This man is on Twitter more than anybody I've seen. He's on Twitter more than 50's on Instagram. And that means a lot. Like, the shit makes no sense. Like, it makes no sense, man. We're supposed to have these platforms so that we can all come together and actually try to agree and see how we can fix things. Or at least how we can all come to a common ground and understanding. But in all actuality, bro, it's a bunch of trolls. It's a bunch of fuck yous and memes. And I love the memes. And I love toxicity as much as the next person. Don't get it twisted. I love getting on Twitter and it's just fuckery. Because you need that every now and then. You need to unwind and you need to just sit back and just look at bullshit. But the biggest issue, dude, is when you start to have actual real issues being presented as a real topic and people just can't get behind their own fucking deluded opinions. They can't even attempt to see someone else's perspective. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. One of the prime examples is this Jay-Z situation. It's a hot button issue. Everybody and their mother is upset. Or not everybody and their mother, but a lot of blacks, they're upset. A lot of people who are specifically supporters of Kaepernick and the whole boycott the NFL, and people who are for kneeling and everything like that. Essentially, the protesters, they're not really feeling Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? If you guys don't know, which you should, he brought Rock Nation with him, it's his company anyway, to NFL, and they've agreed to do a partnership for the halftime Super Bowl, where essentially Jay-Z and Rock Nation will be in charge of like aesthetics. They're going to be in charge of the entertainment. And they're also supposed to have some other stuff that they're supposed to be involved in. And Jay-Z sat down with Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL. He sat down with Angie. I remember Charlemagne was there, and a few other people was there. And he talked a little bit because they had questions specifically, you know, how do you think people are going to feel about you now partnering with the NFL when you were supporting Cap and you were boycotting, blah, blah, blah. And essentially what Hov said was, at some point in time, we got to do more than kneeling. We got to do more than just kneel, and we gotta move a little further. Give me a second. I want to give exactly what he said, because I don't want to paraphrase. I want to give it verbatim. Okay, here we go. When asked directly if he would kneel or stand, Jay-Z said, and I quote, "I think we moved past kneeling, and I think it's time to go into actionable items." He then added, "No, I don't want people to stop protesting at all. Kneeling. I know we're stuck on it because it's a real thing, but kneeling is a form of protest. I support protests across the board. We need to bring light to the issue. I think everyone knows what the issue is. We're done with that," he added. We all know the issue now. Okay, next. We are moving on to the next. And I'm not minimizing that part of it, because that has to happen. That's a necessary part of the process. But now that we all know what's going on, what are we going to do? How are we going to stop it? Because the kneeling was not about a job. It was about injustice. Now, I do agree with part of that statement. My issue is it definitely sounds like a PR statement. That statement it didn't sound organic when he said it to Charlemagne. And I believe it was Charlemagne who asked the question. And it doesn't sound organic now. But I do understand where he's coming from, and I do understand what he's saying exactly. And this particular, that the little snippet was caught, and it's on the Market Watch website, marketwatch.com. They cover like sports, etc. So you can guys go check there. Or you can just Google it, and you can see what he said yourself. But essentially, people had an issue with that because they're like, wait, how are you someone who was one of the big front runners for the protest, someone who knowingly boycotted, not only knowingly but openly boycotted the NFL, and you were a big force behind this, driving the protest and everything. And now it's like essentially you're turning coat and you're helping the enemy. That's how a lot of people interpret it. And I see a lot of outrage, people calling him a coon. And, you know, some people say it's just business. I think it's, me personally, I do feel like it's a business-oriented move before anything else. Anything Jay-Z has ever done has been business-oriented first. I don't give a fuck, excuse me, what it is, how well you love Jay-Z or how much you love Jay-Z. I don't care how much you fuck with his music. He's one of my favorite rappers. Okay, Reasonable Doubt is hands down my absolute favorite album of all time. But it doesn't ignore, or it doesn't make me ignore who Jay-Z is as a person. At the end of the day, he's a nigga from Brooklyn. Like, he started out in the streets hustling, and then he got into the rap game. The rap game, hip-hop, the hip-hop industry is the ultimate con system. Like, not for nothing, this is the reason why hustlers, they prevail in rap more than anyone else, for the most part. That's why there's so many more hustlers in rap, people who came from the life of crime into rap, than anywhere else. It's not just because the music is rooted in our culture. Like, the hip-hop culture in itself, the whole thing is a bit of a finesse. The whole thing is a bit of a finesse. So, yeah, most likely Jay-Z is finessing a deal for Roc Nation to build up the Roc Nation brand. You're partnering with the NFL. From what I understand, he's also trying to, or on his way to, acquiring part ownership in an NFL team, which would not only be huge for him, but that should be out of control for Roc Nation. So, if you ask me, I don't think it's a turncoat thing. I don't think it's a, Jay-Z sold out, blah, blah, blah. I think it's really just he's looking at business. He's looking at business, right? Okay, 2 years ago we protested, right? It was injustice. Kaepernick kneeled. The issue I always had with the protests, honestly, I never saw the end game for it. You know what I'm saying? When Kaepernick was kneeling, at the time when he was kneeling, he wasn't starting. And at the time that he started kneeling, he was benched. He really wasn't playing well. So he started to kneel. It was the form of protest. Everyone followed suit. Now, there's no issue with that. If there is something going on, if you feel like there's an injustice and you feel like you found a peaceful way to bring awareness to it, then you need to do that 100%, especially if you're a person of color. But like, to do that and then to go all in like they did with no real end game outcome, I don't know. Shit was weird to me. Honestly, it was always weird to me. I never understood where they were going with it. I understood the purpose of it. You were bringing about awareness, etc. But then later on, they would continue to talk about how they wanted him to have his job back. But my whole thing is like, okay, if you felt like you were discriminated against, then why the fuck do you want to go back and work for them? Now, I get it. You're an NFL player. You love football. This is your career. But at this point in time, why would you still try to vie for a position in an organization that you feel racially discriminated against you? Like, I don't know. That to me was always super weird. I never really understood that aspect of it, but people don't really care because all people want is a cause. They want something to rally behind. They don't need all the facts behind it. They just want something to whatever. That's cool. So all of that happened, right? And the way Jay-Z might be looking at it is like, okay, where do we go from, essentially what he said, where do we go from here? We protested, we're boycotting, okay, what do we do? We're not creating our own NFL. The Arena Football League shit is cool, Master P is doing things over there, that's fine. It's not the National Football League. It's not. Like, at the end of the day, it's not. As much as you might like the G League, or as much as you might like the 3-on-3 league with the retired veterans, it's not the NBA. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? It's very similar to people sitting there trying to talk about boycotting like the Grammys and shit. You want to boycott the Grammys because you feel like the Grammys don't represent you, they discriminate, blah blah blah. Okay. But then you want to talk about, oh well, let's focus on all these other award shows, when realistically, dude, the Grammys is like kind of one of the most important award shows. That's the one you're going to focus on. So instead of maybe boycotting it or like whatever. How about you try to get your people into the Grammy committee? How about you try to establish and get yourself into the committee so that you can get your people into the committee, and then you can fix the committee? I don't know. But I don't know. I just feel like Jay-Z, he's making business moves. He's looking at the whole situation. You know what I'm saying? We spent 2 years protesting. How much has been accomplished in the NFL, if we're being honest? Like, especially in terms of, like, what the protesting has done, the boycotting has done. And I'm not saying it was a wasted effort, because it definitely wasn't. It raised a lot of awareness, 100%. But we also need, like I keep saying, we need an end game. So if he's actually going to get into the NFL and he's going to partner with Roc Nation, and this little partnership can lead to actual, like, things getting addressed within the NFL, especially things involving racial injustice or social injustice or whatever the case is, if anybody deserved the benefit of the doubt, I kind of feel like it's Hove. Like, it is what it is. Like, he's not a perfect person. You know what I'm saying? Like, people want they want their rappers and everybody to be flawless, and they want them to be absolutely perfect. You want Jay-Z to sit there and be able to protest, help Cap, but also be a part of the NFL, but not be a part of the NFL? That don't make sense. So ultimately, what I'm trying to say is, you got to pick and choose your battles. Not only just your battles, but you got to really try to understand what it is that you want when you're arguing for something. All these people that's arguing against Hove doing this, they don't have any solutions. They have zero solutions. All they have are more problems, more memes, more coon jokes, more big lip jokes, more camel jokes. They don't have any real solutions. They're not actually trying to actually come to a resolution about anything. No, they're just memeing and trolling, which is the main problem. All anybody want to ever do is just meme and troll. You can't even have an actual conversation with someone, because the very second that you voice that your opinion is different from that person, they don't give a fuck about anything you're talking about anymore. They fly off the handle. You're an asshole. You're a troll. It's fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. You're stupid. Mind you, they say all these things, and they have all these insults with no facts, and they hide behind a fucking Avi and a screen name. Like, this is the world we live in. This is really the world we live in, where it's not real communication. It's not really people sitting there expressing difference of opinions and ideas and coming to resolutions. No, it's just a bunch of people being douchebags because their face is hidden and everything else is hidden, and they're hiding behind a screen name. I don't know, man. I think this shit is kind of whack. To be perfectly honest, like, I feel like as a society, we got to start finding better ways to communicate with each other and actually talk about things that are going on, man. Like, when there's a fucking school shooting, there needs to be a serious discussion about it. Not a bunch of people talking about fuck guns and then a bunch of people talking about, I want my Second Amendment rights. That's not an actual solution. That's not a real conversation. It's two bickering parties who are always going to continue to argue while we just keep becoming desensitized to these motherfucking tragedies. Like, all these things that keep happening over and over, these serious issues, these real things that happen to us, and we can never find a common ground or understanding, dude, it's making us more and more heartless to these situations. Like, it's just sad. I don't even really engage in debates on social media too much. Like, if I don't know you personally, and I kind of can't really go back and forth with you, because it's going to come to a point where you're just going to get upset and call me an asshole, or I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, blah, 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 and then I'll get blocked. Or, like, that's the lamest shit ever. Like, block you and then brag about blocking you, and, like, what alright. I don't know, man. But we are living in a toxic age. We're living in the age of toxicity. And I don't know if we have to just, like, grit through it, or if we gotta try to, like, break out of it. But I feel like something has to change. It really does, man. And specifically, when I'm talking about all these issues, I'm speaking specifically about real shit. I'm not talking about when people are just memeing and making jokes on the internet. There's a funny video going viral. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like actual real shit. Yo, I was on fucking Twitter, right? And it was one of those scopa tu mana, you know, which is basically saying like, give this a description, whatever. It was a video, and you guys have probably seen it. It's a video. It's this guy and this girl. They're walking together. There's no context to the video really, but they're walking together. They walk past these group of dudes, and then as they're walking to these group of dudes, it's like 4 or 5 of them. The guy and the girl end up splitting, and then there's a dude that walks in the middle. He kind of like grabs her hand or whatever. I get like trying to gesture to her or trying to talk to her, whatever. The guy doesn't really do anything. The girl does absolutely nothing. They both kind of just walk past. You can't really tell if... And then you always have these fucking internet detectives. Oh my God, look at her shoulders as they came down and as her left ankle went up and her right wrist went forward. You can tell she's uncomfortable. You can... Shut the fuck up. You can't tell shit. Fucking video's 10 seconds long. She walked past and that was it. What the hell are you talking about? Like, people just look for a reason. Any reason at all to be outraged about anything. Period. And then I'll go into the comment section, and then it's just a whole bunch of men are scum, men are trash. Of course we are. And then and the guys are not fucking saints either, man. They're not excused from this, because then it's a whole bunch of, well, I'm not about to just get my ass beat. Fuck that. That ain't my girl. Fuck that. And then this chick's like, oh, this is why men are the scum, men are trash. That's why I wish I was gay. Like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? Like, shut the fuck up. Y'all sound stupid. At the end of the day, what are we talking about? Are we talking about the context of the situation? Because I'll give you my scenario, to be honest, okay? If it's me and a female friend, and we are just friends, well, we are going to be just friends. I have a girlfriend. It's me and a female friend. We're walking. 2, 3, 4 guys walk past. Like, they like brush her arm, or like, I don't know, they touch her in a way that makes her uncomfortable. Now, me personally, honestly, if you don't say something, as that woman, if you don't express that situation has made you uncomfortable, I'm probably not going to say anything. And I'm not going to say anything because I'm not jumping out the window for a situation that kind of seems like it's not worth it. And what I mean is, if you don't have the confidence to like stand up for yourself and express that you are not comfortable with this shit that's going on, then what the hell am I going to jump in for? Like, in the video that I saw, it was fairly short, but the chick didn't express any type of discomfort. The guy didn't express any type. Yeah, it looked like the other guys were being douchebags, whatever the case is. But for me personally, like, I'm not about to sit here and try to defend you if you don't have the courage to defend yourself. I'm sorry. And that's just reality for me. I'm all about equality, and I'm all about standing on an equal footing, okay? If we're walking together, and this is man or woman, male or female, I don't give a fuck who we are. If we're walking together and someone does something to you that you are not okay with, you find uncomfortable, you don't agree with, you got to say something. If you don't say something, I'm definitely not going to say something, because I'm not about to jump out the fucking window and stand up for you, and then you don't really have the courage to reciprocate that feeling, because not for nothing, there's another group of people there. So if I'm standing up to one of these guys, I kind of got to stand up to all of them. So I need to know that I'm going to have your back for a reason, not just because. Now, yeah, if I'm walking with my girl and guys decide to get disrespectful, I'm obligated to say something. This is my woman. That's what I'm supposed to do. But if we're just friends, me personally, honestly, no, shorty, you have to stand up for yourself first. Some guy brushes you or do something weird and you don't like it, say something to him. Let him know that shit is not okay. Because if I wasn't right here with you and you were by yourself, what the fuck would you do? Would you not do anything either? Would you just keep walking past like nothing happened? Or would you stand up for yourself like a grown adult's supposed to? Then, once you stand up for yourself and he tries to get combative or whatever the case is, yeah, I'm going to step in. Because I'm not going to allow a man to fight a woman. It is what it is. But you got to stand on your own as well. But people can't seem to, like, even that type of scenario and that type of logic, people can't even grasp it. You'll find somebody in the comment section that's like, this is why men are fucking scum, you're trash, you're a fucking pussy, I would hate to be your girlfriend, blah. And it's just like, this shit don't make sense because you're not using logic. You're just going off of emotion. But you can't have a conversation off of emotion. You can't have a common ground and understanding like that. That shit doesn't make any sense. And it's like all you see on social media now. Period. especially in the comment section of celebrities. Like, the shit is just out of control. Like, an opinion is taboo. If it's not the majority or the popular, the shit's taboo. Shit's wild. I don't know. I hope I wasn't being over dramatic or melodramatic, but in all honesty, man, like, the way that we communicate with each other and the reach that we have to communicate with each other, it's all just, it doesn't coincide well. Like, it doesn't coincide well at all. Like, it shouldn't be this many disagreements, and the internet shouldn't be as toxic as it is. Or maybe it should. Maybe it just reveals who the fuck we really are. And maybe people kind of really just don't give a fuck about each other at the core. Like, I can accept that as well. I'm a little bit of a pessimist. That doesn't bother me. It's just reality. And that's the ultimate thing. People cannot accept and face actual reality. But I don't know, man. We'll see. That's kind of where I wanted to end it, man. I've been thinking about, like, the social media shit a lot because it's growing more and more. It's taking over the world, literally. Kind of everything you do now is on some type of social media app. So, like, I feel like if it's gonna keep expanding and growing, we gotta find ways to communicate better on this shit, man. Like, there's no way that there can be this much disagreement amongst people. Like, I don't know. But we'll see where we go in the future. That's about it, man. I'm gonna get out of here, yo. Y'all take it easy.